Lunchtime, lunchtime, all I wanna do is munch and crunch. All I wanna do is munch and crunch. Let the taste ID near before I go to work. Alright, a little piece of Americana. Little small baggie of a potato garnish. Bubbly soda with nice fizzy bubbles to save on the cost. And last but not least, a free movie. Where to start? Funny. I don't remember ordering a kid's meal. Nothing like a little dinner and a show.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Takei.
Before you enjoy the film, there's a very exciting offer I'd like to tell you about.
Holy smokes! Commander Sulu!
You might have noticed a rebate certificate included with this video cassette. Please don't throw it away. It's a fantastic opportunity for people who love to collect or rent movies. Paramount is now offering a $2.50 rebate when you purchase one of 25 great movies. Or you can use the rebate certificate to get $1 back after you rent one of Paramount Home Video's recent releases. The rebate insert features a selection of these videos, but be sure to visit your favorite video store for the complete list. A selection of titles everyone in the family can enjoy.
$1 rental rebate. As if. I don't even have a Blockbuster or a rental store for that matter close near me. But $2.50 back. Oh, it's too tempting and I just can't pass it up. $2.50, $2.50. Ooga chugga, ooga chugga. You know how much that is? That's $2.25, you son of a... Rebate expired, sucker. Who gives out videotapes anymore? Honestly.
In the jungle I run tonight. Find the beast of logical light. No confusion, just run right. Oh yeah. Solving mysteries with nothing to lose. Magic leaves you without any clues. There's only so much one man can do. Oh yeah. Only solution. Jump up and down. I just wanna hear. Only solution. Oh, it won't be long. It won't take too long. Only solution. Jump up and down. I just wanna hear. Logical solutions. Clear visions. Clear visions.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a new segment of the show I would love to call Review Rewind. This is where I take a look at something I covered prior, many seasons ago, but with a bit more polish. The early seasons of Vaulting relied on ad-libbing and less on scripting, so I don't quite see those past episodes as 100% complete. Thus, it gives me a good excuse to do some revisiting, and see if my thoughts remain the same, or if some opinions have changed. And what better way to kick this off than with a fan favorite I've already covered before, the Addams Family movies. It all began when New Yorker cartoonist Charles Addams did a series of one-shot strips with a famous family. They were dark, macabre, and dementedly funny. Their popularity caught the attention of independent producer David Levy, who convinced Addams his characters could work in a TV series. And given the show came out during the high-concept era of television, it felt like a perfect fit. The Addams Family was never a ratings success compared to Bewitched or Batman, despite gaining a small cult following. Years later, 20th Century Fox executive Scott Rudin felt the Addams Family would be fitting for a feature film, but there were two major problems. Orion Pictures had the film rights, and they were more interested in doing a revival for television. On top of that, the Addams Family property was not that popular compared to today, and even international audiences didn't know who they were. After some talks and Charles Addams' widow granting the remaining rights of the family, Orion decided to do a big screen adaptation with Scott Rudin in the producing chair. With a script penned by Burton alumni Caroline Thompson and Larry Wilson, all they needed was a director. Enter Barry Sonnenfeld, who was a cinematographer for the Coen brothers and an enthusiast of the original New Yorker cartoons. While he wasn't happy with the script, Sonnenfeld felt it could be fixed. Given this was his first directing job, to say the experience was a nightmare is an understatement. The production was so hectic that Sonnenfeld reported to have fainted and gotten ill many times. If that wasn't bad enough, the budget was escalating so much that Orion Pictures didn't have enough extra funding left over. While Orion did find success with Silence of the Lambs and Dances with Wolves, it was not enough to help them recover from some major box office flops. In desperation, they put the Addams Family movie up for auction while it was still being filmed. Paramount Pictures eventually purchased the project and was granted the domestic release rights, while Orion kept the rights for international release. This probably explains why everyone over in the UK hasn't gotten a proper home video release of this movie. Even though there was a good chance of this movie getting completed, Paramount executives were not too swayed given the hefty budget had grown to $30 million, and deemed the movie unsuitable for release after viewing a 10-minute preview. It's called a preview for a reason. It's not the final cut. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of risk riding on this one, especially given its release into the competitive 1991 holiday blockbuster season. But despite the hardships and having ye of little faith from the higher-ups, how did it become such a success with the audience despite so much chaos behind the scenes? Simple. The first scene says it all. You have Barry Sonnenfeld's dead accuracy with respect to the original cartoon, great use of atmosphere and environments, and most importantly, it's perfectly cast. Once you see the Addams prepared to pour hot boiling oil onto the Christmas characters, you either laugh or get a gleeful tinge just by seeing the execution. For starters, the cinematography and sets look right out of the original New Yorker cartoons. From the design of the house, the dreary yet colorful look, this shows how much care was taken in translating this to the big screen. You get this twisted and otherworldly feel that fits right in with the grim and macabre tone. Even things like the rooms or additional pieces of art give the house its own sense of character. It's amazing to see things like books that can bring up the weather or strange knickknacks that add history. It really feels like you're inside a house that has been aging and feels less like you're watching actors moving around in a movie set. The casting? Top notch. I would say this challenges that of the 1960s TV series, which I also do enjoy. Raul Julia is Gomez, hands down. I love the energy, the charisma, and everything about him. This guy was born to be Gomez Addams.
All those years, gnawed by guilt, undone by woe, burning with uncertainty. Pretty boring just sitting on this rock all day. Hey, wait a minute, hold it. I got here first. This is my rock. That's sex discrimination.
Oh, it would have been too easy to use the M. Bison clips from Street Fighter. So instead, I'm going to use clips of movies that Raul Julia were also in. It was either that or stick my head into a bucket full of piranhas for your amusement. Moving down the line, we get Angelica Houston as Morticia. Again, not only does she look the part, but I also enjoy her performance. I even like how when she worries, she still retains her soft and solemn attitude. She never shouts or goes over the top, but you sense her emotion through her manner of speaking.
It's Gomez. I'm terribly worried about him. He keeps coughing up blood.
He coughs up blood?
Well, not like he used to.
Christina Ricci and Jimmy Workman are good as Wednesday and Pugsley, two siblings that try to outwit each other in games of death no matter the cost. The chemistry as Tom and Jerry brother and sister is good, but it's Ricci's deadpan delivery that often steals the show. Even minor characters get a chance to shine too. Strutkin's wordless grunts as Lurch still get a laugh out of me from his body language, and Judith Malina as Grandmama is the right balance of eccentric and crazy, with some very funny line reads. And I'm certain Christopher Hart is set to steal the show as Thing, the disembodied hand that proves to be helpful to the family. In a world before CGI-dominated effects, this is one practical element that still holds up. Nearly every moment Hart's hand is on screen, there is no composite or blue matte work. It's all in camera. Funny enough, Orion Pictures was hesitant to let Thing run around outside of his box because of the flop of a certain Oliver Stone movie about a disembodied hand they released years ago. But Sonnenfeld was able to convince them otherwise, and it works. Even looking at the new restored version for the recent Blu-ray release, it's still an impressive effect, with Hart giving a lot of acting for a body part you wouldn't expect to get much emotion from. Now, if you've noticed, there's one character I've not talked about yet, and that's because he's very essential to the story. Dare I say, he's the linking anchor to the whole movie, and it requires a lot of explanation. It's revealed that Gomez's brother Fester left him over a major argument. What of, you ask? It's too good to spoil. And yeah, before anyone points it out, I am aware that on the TV show, Uncle Fester was really on Morticia's side of the family instead of Gomez. I'm okay with this change because it actually does add to the story, and it gives something for Gomez to do. Anyway, Gomez's lawyer Lewis seeks to break into the Addams vault to pay off a loan shark. However, it's revealed the loan shark has adopted a son named Gordon, played by Christopher Lloyd, who has a similar eerie resemblance to Fester. Thus, they decide to make it look like Gordon is Fester so he can find the vault and steal the gold. Oh, if that doesn't complicate things enough, apparently the loan shark and Gordon plan to let Lewis take the vault and get away with the money scot-free.
Hey, you're the one who came to a loan shark.
If there was one thing I need to knock this movie down for, it's the plot. It's way too complex. But even then, as the movie progresses on, the complexity kind of wears down a little bit. It becomes more about Gordon warming up to the Addams and realizing how harsh the relationship is with his mother. But I get it. You need someone from the outside who is normal to see how strange and different the family is from your own perspective. And that's one aspect of this movie I enjoy more. Just seeing Gordon interact with the folks and act like Uncle Fester is really the true center. And how he understands what Fester meant to them makes him realize how wrong the theft plot is. It helps him distinguish the relationship he has to his own mother, who is far harsher.
Is that what we're here for? Fun? Oh, darling, forgive me. You see what they've driven me to? I've raised a hand to my child, my reason for living.
Lisa, that's no way to treat $2 million worth of merchandise.
Granted, we don't stay in the house for too long. Occasionally we do see how the Addams interact with the real world. These are a major highlight to see how their ghoulish lifestyle clashes with the common everyday way of life.
Wednesday's great Aunt Calpurnia. She was burned as a witch in 1706. They say she danced naked in the town square and enslaved a minister. Don't worry. We've told Wednesday, college first.
While there isn't too much to show, it's still a nice treat to watch and see how these moments fit closely with the tone of Charles Addams' cartoons. There is one gag that is too good to spoil. I won't say what it is for newcomers, and for those who have seen it, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. A hit! A very powerful hit! So, I'm just gonna leave it at this. When I first saw this movie when I was young, and that particular scene came up, I was losing it into a fit of laughter. And to this very day, whenever I see it, I still fall on the floor laughing in hysterics. It's too good to ruin. I even like how we see the extended family. It shows the amount of history the Addams had for the past generations and years to come. This is in two of my favorite scenes. One where Morticia shows past relatives to Gordon, and the party scene. More so the party scene, as it gives a creative display for different types of Addams. And of course, we can't forget the Beaker Muppet of the relatives.
Eat, old man!
You're right, far too long.
Two things. One, when the movie's being cut down, surprisingly, a lot of Cousin It's material was either added in or kept in. Sonnenfeld and the crew really loved what they did with Cousin It and decided to just keep it as it is and not touch a single frame of his scenes. That's how much they loved it. Two, as much as I love the design, I was never a fan of the voice. It's too high-pitched and far removed from the nuttier take in the TV show. But over time, I've kind of warmed up to it a little bit. Even then, I just still love how he acts like a bit of a ladies' man and ends up stealing Lewis's wife in the end of the movie.
I can't. We mustn't.
I must return from Russia with love.
Here is probably a good time to discuss the Mamushka scene. Originally, Sonnenfeld wanted to do an elaborate musical number with Gomez singing a tribute to brotherly love. Non-incestuously speaking. The scene was filmed, but test audiences felt it stopped the movie. As a result, the scene was cut in half, with the final moments of the dance left in. For the longest time, the complete Mamushka has only remained on the soundtrack. It wasn't until recently Sonnenfeld supported a remaster cut of the movie with the full sequence added back in. It's a fun little number, and it's worth the time to check out. Now, if only we could locate the other junk of the missing scenes that still remain missing in action. I seriously want to see that lost scene where Lurch is selling vacuum cleaners to people. If it reads hilarious on paper, then it's gotta be seen to be believed. Still, I feel the Mamushka's inclusion is important story-wise, because after the Addams get forced out of their home, we see how broken Gomez is. He brought this guy into his home, really had high faith in him, and now he feels dejected by his own brother. It makes the final third of the movie enriched, given how family is a key theme of this feature. And that brings me to discuss the ending, which, for those who have not seen the movie, it's a bit of a spoiler, and I gotta discuss it, given how we are diving into the sequel a little bit afterwards. Surprise, surprise! Gordon is really Uncle Fester. Or at least, that's what they ended up changing it to near the end. Originally, Gordon was to remain Gordon, with Gomez feeling family was more of a state of mind than blood relations. The cast didn't like this. And even Christina Ricci brought up a good point. If audiences come to see Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester, but see he remains as a fake, then it leads to way too many plot issues. It would appear as if the real Uncle Fester is still out there, thus making it appear the Addams just brought in a total stranger and made him their own. Of course, Christopher Lloyd didn't care at all, and I respect this alteration given how much sense it makes. I just wish the explanation as to how we got amnesia wasn't so forced and tagged on.
Thank God for that lightning. Knocked some sense into you.
Dr. Pinderschloss really did find Fester tangled in a tuna net 25 years ago. With amnesia.
Oh, it's pronounced amnesia. If you're one that's been watching my show for the past couple years, you probably know as much as I do that pronunciation is not my strongest point. Right before the movie's release, there was one tiny bit of controversy that came up which needs to be addressed. When the 1960s series producer David Levy found out about the movie, Levy really wanted to be part of the production, but was annoyed to be shut off from it. And when the movie was bought by Paramount Pictures, the same thing happened. As a result, Levy filed a lawsuit against Paramount claiming the movie infringed on his rights to the TV series. The suit would be settled out of court, but this does bring up a good point. If the movie was intended to be closer to the Charles Addams cartoons, why does it have similar connections to the TV show? Granted, there are some tiny homages and nods that can be considered coincidental, yet there are some which nearly tip the scale in terms of comparisons, like the toy trains and the use of the Addams theme in certain places. I kind of wonder if this is what led many to feel this was an adaptation of the TV show, in the same way viewers accuse Ron Howard's Grinch for being a live-action adaptation of the Chuck Jones special.
What is the deal?
Regardless, the Addams Family was sent forth onto the Thanksgiving holiday season and did surprisingly solid business. For a budget of $30 million, it grossed $113 domestically and became one of the highest grossing movies of 1991. Despite the mixed reception from critics, it was a fan favorite on arrival at audiences, and has been since then. The movie has been a pure staple for Halloween, and at least it brought the 1960s show back to the limelight and syndication. So you could say the movie was able to get the past incarnation back into the spotlight. It's, well, overdue place in the spotlight. But there was one other thing it did.
Is it true?
They gasp! She's gonna give birth to a sequel! I think you know by now what's to come very soon.
Spirits above me, give me a sign. Shall I be joyous or shall I be damned? But when I go with a bang.
Stay tuned!
Beware, it's the Addams Family cereal.
Creepy and it's spooky, mysterious and spooky. It's all together spooky. The Addams Family cereal.
The weird part of this complete breakfast.
Just wait until you see 'em. It's like raspberry jam. They taste so good you'll see 'em. The Addams Family cereal.
Hurry to McDonald's Holiday Film Festival, featuring the classic Charlotte's Web, unbelievably priced at just $5.99 when you buy any large sandwich. Or get the hit Ghost.
Yes!
Or the Addams Family.
Showtime!
Or Wayne's World. Just $5.99 each when you buy any large sandwich.
No way.
You can see these new movies at theaters and own the originals. But hurry, because these values will be gone in a flash. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Courtesy of Morticia, Gomez, and the rest of the household, here's an Addams Family value that'll have you screaming. That's right, Addams Family Values is coming to your Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And when you buy the game and rent the video, you can get up to $2.50 back. Baby Pubert's disappeared. Can you and Uncle Fester find him? With 42 action-packed levels of video game excitement, there's something weird at every turn. Addams Family Values on Super Nintendo. Get up to $2.50 back when you rent the home video and buy the game. An uncanny value from the first family of readers.
Before we dive right into the sequel, there's a fun little tidbit I'd like to talk about. In the early 90s, there was a very popular promo dubbed McDonald's Holiday Film Fest, where if you purchased a burger or a breakfast sandwich around the holiday season, you would get a videotape of your choice, depending on what they offered, for a very fair and low price. In 1992, they got some movies from Orion, and in another year they did it with some choices by Universal. To coincide with the release of Addams Family Values and Wayne's World 2, Paramount made a deal where upon purchase, you get the choice to get the Addams Family, Ghost, Charlotte's Web, or Wayne's World for a pretty low price. It was a neat deal, and I wish they kept doing these kinds of promos. The last I recall was in the 2000s when Pizza Hut was giving out Mr. Mom, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, that crummy All Dogs Go to Heaven sequel, and Honeymoon in Vegas for the purchase of a pizza.
Wow, Mr. Mom with Martin Mull. Whatever happened to that guy?
He got hungry.
But the promo was not without backlash. Because apparently there was one particular movie a Baltimore watchdog group had problems with. Can you guess which one? That's right, Wayne's World. Yep, they had concerns about seeing kids make off with a movie that was loaded with sexual and crude humor.
No stairway.
Denied.
So, let me get this straight. Charlotte's Web is okay, which I can understand. It's a family movie. It's harmless. It's made for little children and people of all ages. It's fine. Even though I think Explorers should have been in that batch, but its popularity was not quite there yet. However, you have no problems with Ghost. And you certainly don't have any problems with the Addams Family, which is rated PG-13, mind you.
What game?
It's called... Is There a God?
At this rate, I would be afraid to see how the response would go, given today's world of social media. But if they had problems with Schwing, they would have no idea what they would be in for. What they saw unleashed to theaters that year. Addams Family Values is one of those rare sequels that is either better or equally as good as the original. It was given a slightly bigger budget, more breathing room to do darker and macabre jokes, and was written by the talented Paul Rudnick, who you might know better for the Sister Act movies, and the Sister Act movies. It was favored more by critics, but sadly it wasn't a big hit at the box office compared to the first movie's gross. One could easily blame the competition at the time, but this was released literally a week before Mrs. Doubtfire. There is a theory that director Barry Sonnenfeld has that I do agree with. He feels the marketing and advertising didn't show enough to differentiate the sequel from the original, thus leading many to feel that it was a retread of the first movie all over again. In fact, if one were to look at the posters and trailers, it very much seems to mirror how they advertised the first movie, despite some minor differences. Nevertheless, Addams Family Values has gone to become a cult classic, and has been deemed to be even better than the original. But does darker mean better?
When he was asleep, I opened his skull and removed his brains. You did?
I will say right off the bat, this is a much different movie from the first one, even right down to how it looks. Some of the cast is the same, with one exception. Carol Kane dons the role as Grandmama, and it's not as memorable. Granted, she does have funny lines, but they are said in a lighter and more conventional manner. Judith Malina had a bit more bite to her role, and you had this feeling she was an aged alchemist by her grouchy attitude. Carol Kane is not bad, but it feels more on point with her Ghost of Christmas Present character from Scrooged.
Sometimes you have to slap them in the face just to get their attention.
Also, the house is kind of different this time around. Maybe it's just me, but the way it's built looks very different from the first movie. And in some cases, it kind of looks a little unfinished. It looks less like an aged mansion and more like one that feels half-built. It's kind of weird to explain. Anyway, the sequel continues with the Addams getting a new member of the family in the form of a son named...
It was agony. We went through all the books, all the usual baby names, and then we came to our senses. Something a child could live with.
Pubert.
Fun fact. Pubert was going to be the name of the son in the 1960s TV show, but instead it was changed to Pugsley. I can't imagine why.
I like it. It's filthy.
Naturally, the elder siblings want to play with the new baby by means of attempts to kill him, believing in the fact that, well, when they get a new kid, one of the other ones has to go. So it's either them or the new bundle of joy with a mustache.
Well, that's just not true. Not anymore.
Dark as it gets, there's some really funny sight gags in how the baby manages to foil their attempts.
Do it! Hold him still! You missed!
Getting concerned, Gomez and Morticia hire a nanny named Debbie, played by Joan Cusack. At first we think she's a normal person that will take light to the Addams' dark residence, until we, the viewer, discover she is a serial killer. Her aim is less to look after the baby and seek to marry and murder Uncle Fester so she can have his money. This is already a major step up from the first movie. Of course, granted, it is almost a little similar given how the villain of the first film was a gold digger like Debbie here, but there's a major difference. Not that I have anything against Elizabeth Wilson as the villainous loan shark from the first one, but Cusack's Debbie is so much more fun to watch. She's like a Disney villain that we should have got. A gold digger that seeks to manipulate and murder, and she has way too many quotable lines. She's just a pure blast to watch, and it kind of makes me wonder what it would have been like if she played Cruella de Vil in the live-action 101 Dalmatians movie from the 1990s. I can totally see her rocking out in Dalmatian furs.
I'll get you and your little hand too!
And here is where the movie splits into different subplots, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Debbie convinces Gomez and Morticia to send their kids to summer camp, and oh lord, this camp, Camp Chippewa, is the best thing in the movie. I just love how the cheeky counselors and snobby bullies are cranked to 11. The more you watch Wednesday and Pugsley suffer, the more you sympathize with them. At the end of the day, you just see how awful a place this is by how dementedly cheery it is and completely hypocritical of its own standards. And it makes this more fun to see the place get destroyed in the last third. Even simple things like punishment in the Harmony Hunt really come off like pure torture. Yeah, this requires a bit of elaborating. Much like how the first movie had MC Hammer, the sequel was going to have Michael Jackson do some songs for the movie, and even went as far as to get 50% of the music video complete and some material done, up until he had some contractual disputes with Paramount, leading to the studio to scrap his work. Then the allegations happened, leading many to believe that was the reason why he did not end up working on the movie. By the way, is it just me, or is Ghost and Scream his artistic responses to the pressure of what he went through during that time? Just theorizing and asking, that's all. Barry Sonnenfeld was kind enough to bring Mercedes McNabb back from the first movie as Amanda Buckman, one of the rich kids attending the camp. As far as child acting goes, I enjoy how McNabb really goes all out to be the snottiest to the point you love to hate her. And it only gets funnier when you see Peter McNichol and Christina Baranski as the counselors. And you can tell how much annoyance they try to hold back behind their smiles.
Wednesday and Pugsley and young Mr. Glicker here, well, they have just never quite latched on to the Chippewa spirit. Isn't that sad?
Yes!
Don't we just hate that?
Yes!
Don't we wish they would just die?
Yes!
Oh, no, we don't.
You don't know who that is? He's Vigo! You're like the buzzing of flies to him!
Oh, Johnny, did you back the wrong horse?
Anyway, another aspect of this subplot I like is the romance Wednesday has with one of the kids, played by David Krumholtz. It feels kind of sweet and doesn't feel forced. I like the idea this normal guy has morbid fascination, like collecting trading cards with serial killers.
I'll trade you.
For what?
Amy Fisher.
And it gives a way for Wednesday to connect with him.
What if you met just the right man who worshipped and adored you, who'd do anything for you, who'd be your devoted slave?
I'd pity him.
Oh, and to think that 1 year later, we would get him as Bernard the Head Elf in Disney's Santa Claus. Oh, they just grow up so fast. The stuff between Fester and Debbie is very funny, too. I like how she easily sways Fester with her charm, even when he's not that bright.
I always dreamed of meeting someone untouched, someone pure, someone just like you.
You'll meet him. Perhaps you do believe in something, after all. Perhaps you believe in beautiful women, Mr. Wilde.
Once they get married, Debbie tries to kill Fester, but is dismayed to see how unsuccessful she gets. He sees it as harmless fun, while Debbie starts to realize she's trapped with this walking corpse. Again, just to see your aggravation build to a boiling point really leads to some solid, hilarious moments.
I tried to give you some dignity, but oh no, not you. I'm saying I want you dead, and I want your money.
Don't you love me? Is that a no?
And this is where my praise stops, because it feels like more focus is done towards the other family members and less on the main ones. In fact, it kind of feels like that Gomez and Morticia are left with not much to do here. I don't know if Raul Julia's deteriorating health at the time caused any story changes, but I would have loved to see more of the couple. You could argue their story was kinda wrapped up in the first one, but I would have loved to see how getting a baby in the family would affect their lives. Heck, even characters like Thing appear and go with long stretches of not appearing until the climax. Speaking of which, there's some problems I do have with the conclusion. Debbie gets fed up with trying to kill Fester and decides to electrocute the entire family. So, she tried to kill Fester early on with a bathtub shock and a bomb, but does she even know an Addams can't die? Even then, can you really kill an Addams family member? I mean, it's kind of vague in the first movie when Morticia mentions how certain members perished, but then earlier you see Wednesday electrocutes Pugsley without problem. Maybe I'm thinking too hard on this one, but
Someone has married my brother.
No.
She took him to Hawaii.
Get out of here.
Arrest her at once without delay.
Who?
Debbie, my brother's wife.
Who are you? What are you? Who moved the rock?
Wow. Nathan Lane making a cameo. Gomez meeting a future Gomez. If that's not ironic, I don't know what is. And for those of you die-hard vaulting enthusiasts who wondered why I didn't bring this up in the first episode, it was very much because I filmed those episodes far in advance in the summer. Before I even found out they were doing a Broadway version of The Addams Family. Timing is a very harsh mistress. For the most part, The Addams Family is a charming 1990s time capsule that holds up really well, and Addams Family Values is a worthy sequel that you must check out. If you're looking for laughs, both are solid on the jokes, some of which I'm surprised to see hold up very well given today's PC safe world of humor. Hell, I didn't even show half of the really good stuff from both films. For me, I tend to lean a hair more towards the first movie. There are issues with the plot, but it feels so tightly wrapped and a bit more focused. Addams Family Values, while pleasing on the laughs, tends to get a bit distracted in the subplots. They're not anchored well, and it kinda suffers from how many times you jump from one story to another. That's not to say the sequel is bad. There are memorable moments, jokes that still make me laugh to this day, and has the best Joan Cusack role I've seen to date. Both movies have their own sets of pros and cons, but I hold them so dearly to my heart, and I think they're about as respectful to the original source as they can get. Besides, it's better than whatever the heck these are.
Yeah, I finally got off diapers, so this is gonna happen. Gotta go clean myself up.
Riveting. Just riveting. Granted, there have been other attempts to do something new with the Charles Addams cartoons and TV show, yet I don't recall any of them reaching the same love and affection the 1990s big screen movies did. Some are okay, and others were one-shot duds we certainly don't talk about. My problem with today's incarnations is that they don't understand what made the Addams Family memorable in the public eye. And no, it has nothing to do with the rap songs that appear at the end of both movies, though I could let MC Hammer's Addams Groove slide for just a little bit. Point is, they knew how to get the Addams Family perfect to a T. They were far removed from traditional morals, but they still acted like a family nonetheless. They did more than weird acts or did goofy things. They still saw life the same we did, even if in a different view. They were creepy, kooky, mysterious, spooky, and altogether ooky. These will remain my Addams Family. Yeah. Family. Well, I guess that wraps things up. So, Judy, what do you say we... Judy? Oh. Yeah, I forgot you two were a couple. You two have fun, okay? I'll be fine. I think. Well, given that Christmas is coming up, it's going to be another holiday in the trenches. Maybe Bobcat might be into some shenanigans this year. If so, I'd like to take part. Hey, Bobcat! Shh! It's the Doc. I don't think he's been feeling well ever since he came back from that trip to Miami. Might have been something that prehistoric pelican did. I can't even watch Jurassic Park without him screaming at the top of his head. Over this stuff, Pepper might cheer him up.
Read me good night, Moon, but skip over the part where the pterodactyl eats people.
Will he's come back to his senses? Good luck. Look, if you're looking for someone who brings a holiday cheer, why don't you call up a friend or two? Maybe they might need something. There's gotta be someone I could do something with it this holiday season. If it's a crossover or a cameo. Ooh, James! No, he's doing something with his girlfriend. Aha, Gus. No, I remember. He told me he was gonna go to France with his family this year. Klusner? He did say he was gonna try and do some weird espionage thing in the North Pole, but whatever that is. I just... What do you say? What do I do?
Hello?
Hi, Megan. I know it's been many years since we last got together, but I would just like to first start off saying that I'm sorry about a lot of things. I mean, I don't remember why we broke up in the first place, but to me that's just old news. I don't know if you're doing anything for the holiday season, but if you're open, we can maybe get a pizza or just watch a couple of flicks or something. It's just... I miss you. I always have. So, I'll just leave that to you, alright? I hope you have a good Christmas regardless, whether it's with family, friends, or whoever. No one deserves to be lonely on Christmas Day. Especially not you.
To be honest with you, you were the last person I was expecting to hear from today, and you have no idea how happy I am that you called me. I would love to see you again soon. Nice and fuzzy.
You like them?
Yeah, they're adorable.
Thanks. I was ready to think otherwise.
Merry Christmas, Morgan.
Merry Christmas. You know, I had a tail that got shot off.
Ow.
Tell me about it.
Ugh. You didn't turn into a monkey when you looked at the moon, did you? Never mind.
No.
I've been reading too much Dragon Ball, I'm sorry.
Still a fan.
Yes. Not so much of Dragon Ball Z, but classic Dragon Ball, yes.
Yeah, I need to get into it at some point.